y'all already know I'm Miss Matthews. I am going to talk to you about a book I just finished and actually really enjoyed. It's called Bad Graces by Kyrie McCauley. It falls in the sci-fi realm. There's a little bit of fantasy mixed in with this too. This thing about genres, you can always go into more than one, but I really enjoyed it. And I think you might too. So I'm going to read the first chapter. I gave you this page, or I gave a page to your teacher to give to you, so that way you can kind of follow along with it, see what you like about it, and maybe come check it out for me in the library. All right. So there's a prologue to this. I'm not going to read the prologue. I'm going to start with Act 1, which is called The King's Ship. And it says, "For my part, the sea cannot drown me. The Tempest." Act 3, Scene 2. By the time I was 12 years old, I had lived in 13 different homes. There was something profound about that year for me. It was like standing on a precipice, wishing I could jump already, even though I knew the fall might kill me. Age 12 was my year of great epiphanies. One after another, like lightning chasing thunder, each of them changing the trajectory of my life in a way I didn't understand at the time. The first was the bittersweet realization that no one was coming to save me. Bitter to know that loneliness, and sweet to taste the freedom of no longer waiting on anyone else. If I wanted anything, I had to take it for myself. It was also the year that I learned my sister hated me more than anything else in the world. She was right to hate me. I was the troubled child, the rebellious one. I was the girl who set fire to House 7. No, it was House 8, the DeLucas. We were there only a month before I found our foster dad's lighter and set the living room curtains ablaze. After that, we cycled quickly through houses 9 through 12. The history of arson doesn't exactly boost a foster kid up the placement list, and I did absolutely nothing to reassure new parents willing to take me on. In House 10, I cut off my own hair, shearing it as close to the scalp as I could, ignoring the hot flash of pain and blood when the scissors blade found flesh, leaving a thin line of a scar just at the hairline of my forehead. I'd seen the notes in our shared file once. Our caseworker had been distracted, taking an emergency phone call, hoping to find us a new placement in time for the holidays. I'd just burned bridges at House 12 by punching their biological son in the face. I still think I should have gotten credit for all the times I didn't punch him, even though I wanted to. Some faces are just so very punch-worthy. Everly was ignoring me, reading on the other side of the room. Everly was always reading. Foster parents loved that about her. I grabbed our file as soon as we were alone and began to flip through it. Everly is a good student, polite, quiet, well-mannered. She likes to draw and reads 3 grade levels up. She is kind, and though a bit shy, seems eager to make friends. Predictable, boring. I turn the page. Violet is temperamental, sometimes volatile, and occasionally violent with herself and others. Uninterested in making social connections. Liv has a diagnosed attention disorder and struggles in school. History of self-harm. If anyone was trying to get to know me from just these pages, their outlook would be grim. My entire life was a series of incidents, laid out in black ink bullet points by weary social workers. I scanned the rest of the pages. There was nothing on it I didn't already know about myself, but I realized my file was full of half-truths. No one knew why I cut my hair, or punched my foster brother, or set a house full of people on fire. Probably no one would ever know. People tended not to care about the why, and I didn't care to tell them. At the bottom of the page was a space for recommendations. I'd been with the same caseworker for 6 or 7 years by then, and I knew she hated me for what I put Everly through. Enough to recommend that if we didn't find a good placement for the both of us soon, we should probably be separated. And yet it wasn't until House 13 that I realized the depth of my sister's resentment. It was a few days before our shared 13th birthday, a birthday that only our social worker acknowledged, with kids' meals from the local burger place and a few gently used new clothes from the donation bin. I woke in the night to a pillow pressed to my face, held down with every bit of strength Everly had, though that wasn't much. We were both scrawny, scrappy little things, with long, ever-tangled hair and feral looks in our eyes. But Everly tried her damnedest that night. I was the problem. I was the instigator, the literal fire starter, a liability. I understand her logic perfectly. If she could just take me out of the equation, maybe she could find a family that would keep her for more than a few months. The policy of Child Protective Services is to keep siblings together, and I'm sure they thought we were a comfort to each other, a hand to hold as we shoved all our belongings into a black garbage bag to move from one foster placement to the next. But Everly had stopped reaching for my hand years ago. Her anger had built steadily and quietly until she couldn't bear it anymore, until she tried to kill me, just so I'd stop ruining her life. That night, I scratched at her until her arms and hands were slick with blood. It was fortunate for me that no one really cared about our basic hygiene at that point, and my nails had grown out, long and sharp. I was like a rabid creature clawing at her until she let go of the pillow on my face. I left deep gouges from her elbows to the backs of her hand. Everly collapsed onto the bed beside me, sobbing. I hate you, she whispered between hiccups as I wrapped my arms around her. I know you do. It's okay. I forgive you. I understand. I continued to murmur low words of comfort until she fell asleep. In that moment, I understood her better than I ever had before. Finally, she was angry the way that I was angry. Finally, she fought to survive instead of living quietly in my shadow, always a step behind me. It was the first time I saw her as her own unique self. Before that, she had felt like an extension of me. Where she hurt, I hurt, like a skinned knee, raw and stinging in all the places I was exposed. But she wasn't a person I loved, and I wasn't someone she loved. We were both like strange appendages of each other, or tumors, nestled deep into each other's guts and heads, undetectable until it made us sick. After that night, I stopped setting fires, both literal and figurative. We flew through the next 3 houses in quick succession, this time for reasons beside me, and then we met the Millers. Rachel and Toby had been married for 2 decades and decided early on that they didn't want children. It wasn't until they neared their 50s that they changed their mind. They had their dream careers, a beautiful house in San Diego, a neat retirement plan on the horizon. By some strange twist of fate, they also wanted us. They loved Everly instantly. They tolerated me. And at first, that was enough. I'd learned to adapt to 1,000 changes before, and this last one was easy once I accepted it. Still, I never felt lonely before the Millers. They didn't mean to exclude me. I'd built the walls all myself. I couldn't be upset that no one was willing to do the work of climbing them to be close to me, especially with Everly standing right out in the open, ready for love. I tell myself that's why I decided to leave, to let Everly have the family she'd always dreamed of for herself. I'd hardly be the first foster runaway. No one would miss me, Everly least of all. We eventually reached a kind of tentative balance in our relationship, something more like endurance than warmth. But it's Everly who leads me to my way out. It's no more of a coincidence, really, or luck, for perhaps the first time in my life. She leaves the paperwork right in the center of the dining table, an invitation to apply, one among dozens that Everly receives for some prestigious opportunity or another. She wouldn't have glanced at this one twice. It's a writing contest, and Everly prefers math and science. She wants to be an environmentalist one day. She doesn't notice when I slip it off the table and it in my backpack. Volatile and occasionally violent, uninterested in making social connections. I'd never understood the phrase lone wolf. Even wolves have packs. Instead, I think of a bear. Solitary, volatile, occasionally violent. That was me. Never meant to be part of a family, but singularly capable of surviving even the harshest of winters. So this story will focus around Liv and kind of her journey. And so I hope you come check it out.